you conniving morning. Then you had your pocket full. In a bill tell me morning. Now because you money, now you hustle for tell me morning.
Yes, morning, neighbor.
Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, I don't want you conniving morning. Neighbor, neighbor, joke up. Neighbor, neighbor, joke up. Neighbor, neighbor, joke up. That's all the money that me work for. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. A 2 pound note and a guilder piece. This is all the money that me work for.
I said, morning, neighbor.
Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Morning, I don't want you conniving morning.
Oh, Joseph.
Morning. Morning, neighbor, morning. Welcome to another program of Buxtonian Morning Time. It is now 7 hours 17 on the 3rd day of June in the year 2022. Yes, it's Friday, Free Talk Friday. And so we're going to continue to talk about lots of things. As a matter of fact, I want you to do the talking this morning. I didn't feel like talk too much. I will host and you will talk. I will listen. Today is my listening day. How about that? Give me a thumbs up if you believe that today should be my listening day. You all talk, I can listen. I got me sipping hot tea and listening. How about that? Because hot tea is good for breaking this flu that I have here. What about that, y'all in for the business? I used my KAMS cup this morning. KAMS cup and hot tea. But by the way, why do we say hot tea? Have you ever had cold tea? Have you? If you ever had cold tea, tell me, well, could be iced tea. It's cold tea. Perhaps. I don't know, y'all tell me. I don't know these things. Yes, if you see me perspire, I choose to perspire. I'm trying to break this congestion. Nevertheless, you listened to Patrick Mentor this morning again. And I say again for those who were on the program yesterday. And if you weren't on the program yesterday, you listened to Patrick Mentor this morning. And so you heard him explaining a lot of things. What I didn't tell you, or I didn't tell you yesterday, was that they were going to meet with the CCDO, Departments of Co-op, yesterday, sometime, I think, after lunch, to discuss the madness that's going on at the Ghana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union. And that meeting happened. So we're going to talk about the result of that meeting. And we're going to talk about other things like Jaggi said, still no commission of inquiry into the 2020 elections. Because if he does, the riggers are not going to participate. Whoever the riggers are. Whoever the riggers are, they're not going to participate. I believe the riggers are not going to host the COI. Right? So the riggers, the chief rigger has decided, no, we are not going to host the COI because we don't want to participate in any COI. Just as how they don't want the petition to be heard, they don't want any COI because the COI will reveal too much. Right? It's a wheel and a wheel is a chicken and egg situation. The corrupt PPP just wants to pull wool over the eyes of Guyanese. And since they are so accustomed talking to the intellectually lazy, then they can continue to go around and talk, and the intellectually lazy will continue to listen, especially when money is there to be gained from listening. Yesterday they were in Annandale and they gave out lots of money to fisher folks. And Mustafa was begging the fisher folks not to be dishonest. People shouldn't try to scam the system and so on. But like I said, there were lots of plans for people to borrow boats like how you were borrowing pencils in schools. Right? And suddenly boats which had 5 and 6 sailors, fishermen, that amount doubled. Right? You had 10 and 12. And that has to happen, and that was expected to happen, and the PPP was not going to challenge that in any way. Anybody from the PPP wasn't going to challenge it. Because they know that this was not just about giving fisher folk money, this was about giving money to the strong Allendale Lusignan. And the risk they ran there was if they were to deny monies to anybody. a fallout could take place, a political fallout. Because people are going to talk about what they did for them to get into power and how many multiple votes they voted, and they're not going to work for them again and stuff like that. So they weren't concerned about controlling fraud or deceit, whatever you want to call it. But money is what giving out to Annandale. Annandale is happy right now. Lusignan is happy. The Fisher folks are happy. Right? Are the public servants happy? That's another question to be answered. I certainly don't think they are. But are they staying quiet? Yes, they are. Are they afraid to make noise? Perhaps they are. Where are their representatives? Where are the unions? Are they in a coma? Perhaps they are. And these are things that we have to look at. Sometimes they come across as if I'm talking about them in a jocular way, but certainly not. Right? So you have that situation there where the country's resources is being given out in this discriminatory manner. 250,000 to farmer sugar workers, 150,000 to fisher folks now. Those are people in strong PPP areas. When they step out of the PPP areas, they gave $20,000 or $25,000 to the hinterland dwellers, riverine communities. $20,000 or $25,000. Right? Can you imagine that? And certainly they gave zero to the public service where most of our people are. But strange enough, we remain silent. Everybody remains silent. I can understand the people getting money remaining silent, but what are the people who are not getting anything? Except Laura. Good. It's Free Talk Friday. Like I said, I'll allow you to do most of the talking for today, because I don't perhaps have the energy to talk too much. Yes, sir, I'm on my morning program. Over now. I collected 8. It was the due with 2, plus other things. But we went off. Now let me talk to you about that nasty, dirty, stinking business over at Ghana Public Service Credit Union there. And then I'll open up the lines, and you folks will have your say. Of course, like a good teacher, I will be timing you, so you're not going to have forever to say what you want to say. Right? You will get to say, but you'll not get forever to say it. So ensure that you put your thoughts together, you jot down your points like a good debater, and you're prepared to come precise. Right? You did Tracy writing in school, they say, right? Good. Now, Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union. The management committee met yesterday with the CCDO, acting. Let me remind you that she's acting. She's not confirmed CCDO. She's acting. And part of the challenge with all of these acting appointments, if you don't do the will of your political masters, you're going to find yourself without an acting position. You're going to find yourself out of favor without a job exception. And so a lot of folks, when they're called upon to act within the laws that govern what they do, because they're acting, they turn to political instructions and they act on that instead of following the law. And that is what I think happened yesterday when the Ghana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union met with the CCDO. Because if you were to stick to the regulations, the laws, the rules, the procedures of the co-op society, then the decision at which the CCDO arrived yesterday in that meeting could never have been arrived at. What is the decision, many of you are asking? The decision is saying that Trevor Ben and Patrick Mentor shall remain gone from the chairman and vice chairman's position. And those who replace them through that coup shall stay in office. Are you hearing me? The CCDO determined yesterday that Trevor Ben and Patrick Mentor shall stay gone as chairman and vice chairman of the management committee of the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union, despite the fact that their removal was not in keeping with the laws. Their removal were not done within the rules and procedures of the co-op society. Now, yesterday the question was asked, who is the supreme authority in a matter like this? The supreme authority obviously is, at least on paper, the members. And so the members shall have the ultimate say. An ultimate say which they have pronounced upon, they said, by way of petition, that they would like a special general meeting and they would like certain people not to be allowed to partake in elections. This is my cup, KAMS, and hot tea. Well, help me out here. This is what the petition says. It suggests to Ms. Jillian Pollard, Secretary of the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union, registered number 849, Lot 49 at Fifth Street, Freeport, demand for the holding of a special general meeting of the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union, Limited. We, the undersigned, 1. Pursuant to Regulation 16 of the Cooperative Society's regulations, demand that a special general meeting of the GPS-CCU be convened within 14 days of receipt of this demand as stipulated by the said regulation. 2. Advise that the object of the proposed meeting shall be to vote for or against the recall of the Committee of Management of the GPS-CCU without prejudice. And if the majority of members in good standing vote to recall the Committee of Management, an election will be held at that same time to replace the members of the committee. 3. Further, without prejudice, recommend that the following 9 officers not be re-elected to serve on the Committee of Management. 1. Ms. Jillian Pollard. 2. Ms. Karen Van Slightman Corbin. 3. Ms. Ruth Howard. 4. Ms. Saskia Eastman Onzoriki, or Onzoriki, whichever one. Mr. Charles Ogle. Mr. Corbin Myers. Jermaine Herman Stein. Ms. Leslie Noble. Mr. Arthur Gibbs. Good. 4. Demand that the meeting be held virtually and in person in all 10 administrative regions. utilizing the same mechanism used to conduct the 2021 AGM, at which the present Committee of Management members were elected, and that the same e-voting service provider be utilized. 5. Reiterate that visionary leadership from the Committee of Management, trust, collaboration, communication, sound decision-making, and accountability to the members of the GPSCCU are important for the credit union to continue to thrive. 6. Reaffirm that Ghana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union is the leader in providing financial services to the poor and powerless, and that a strong partnership between the Committee of Management and the members is important to preserve the progress of the credit union and ensure its continuous development. Right? This is the wording of the petition which was submitted, signed by more than 200 persons when the requirement is just about 25. And so there's a petition before the Committee of Management, which Mr. Mentor said he acted on. Yesterday, Mentor told us he acted on that petition as acting chairman. He issued a notice. It caused to be published a notice that the meeting being demanded will be held, I think, on June 25th. Of course, we have seen the committee which have taken over, which ousted Mr. Ben and Mentor. That committee apparently issued a quote-unquote nullification of the original notice by Mr. Mentor. And so the jury is still out as to whether or not that meeting is going to be held on the 25th. But I'm predicting it. My prediction is that the meeting will not be held, because the CCDO doesn't want the meeting held. Just as how the CCDO doesn't want Mentor and Ben as chairman and vice chairman of the Committee of Management. You see, when people act, you have to sometimes go behind the scene, and sometimes you have to dig deep to find out or to rationalize why people act the way they act. And I'm saying to you this morning that Karen Van Slytman and others at the Committee of Management felt emboldened to reconvene that meeting that was adjourned by Mentor and to proceed to an election, knowing very well that they would get the support of the CCDO and her political handlers. They acted on advice of their political handlers. Do this and you will get our backings. And so when they went to the meeting with the CCDO yesterday, it was a done deal. The CCDO wasn't going to reverse that and say, well, listen, first and foremost, according to the rules, this meeting should not have been reconvened shortly after the adjournment, number one. Number two, the meeting should have only been reconvened to deal with the matters that it was dealing with when it was adjourned, and an election was not part of those matters. Right? But she didn't. She said, listen, the deed is done. I'm quoting it, well, I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing. I'm paraphrasing. The deed is done, and so it will have to remain, or I will have to implement an interim management committee. So you got two options, and I said it yesterday morning. Members, you would end up with two options. You will be left with a management committee that doesn't have your interests at heart, or you will end up with an interim management committee that doesn't have your interests at heart. And those are the options that were on the table from the CCDO yesterday. But what is more sickening and frightening and worrying, but certainly not surprising, is that when the CCO was asked about ensuring that a meeting demanded by the members, the special general meeting, and advertised by Mr. Mentor as going to take place on the 25th of June. The CCDO says she doesn't know anything about that. This is a matter, first and foremost, that was ventilated in the public and is still being ventilated. So even if she didn't receive formal correspondence, she must have heard about it in the air. Just for argument's sake, she must have heard about it. She said she doesn't know about it. She never heard about it. But she was written to on the matter. And according to my understanding, she says she has not seen a letter. Maybe it is somewhere in one of in among her unopened mails. It is somewhere among her unopened mail. Right? And so this is typical dilly-dally, let me call it that, and not use the strong word which I was about to use. Right? This is tomfoolery. Here it is, you are the officer legally empowered to deal with this issue that's taking place at the Ghana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union. But you are going to sit and tell representatives of the Ghana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union that you have not seen the letter which speaks to this petition and this demand for a special general meeting by members. It might be among your unopened mail. If you are serious about resolving this matter, then you will call your secretary or you will get up yourself and go and get that unopened mail that you didn't see. You will ask for an excuse and get that unopened envelope and read the mail so you understand what it's talking about and so you can address it in the interest of fairness to all parties. But no, the CCDO says she didn't see the mail. It's most likely among the unopened ones. But she didn't make an effort to get it because she didn't have to make an effort to get it. She had no interest in what the mail was demanding because it will not serve their purpose. It's as simple as that. It didn't serve the purpose of the CCDO and her political handlers to have this matter resolved in keeping with the regulations that govern co-op societies. And so, quite frankly, for me, the gloves are to be off. If Trevor Ben is serious and Mentor is serious about representing the people's interest, then they should be heading to the courts this morning. Like I said about the constitutional commissions, the political representatives should have been heading to the court the day after. Today is what, 2 or 3 days after, but I haven't heard anybody moving to the court. I hope that's not a situation that we're going to have a GPSC UU. I hope that Trevor Ben and Mentor and like-minded persons are heading to the court today. Because again, you have to preempt these things. And having dealt with the oppressors in the past, you know what they're capable of. You know what they're capable of. And so you should have already have your documents prepared to approach the court for an injunction. Let's see what happens by the end of the day. You see, there's another thing I want to note about this issue. And that is up until perhaps yesterday. I mean, up until now, I don't think it has been fully ventilated in the public domain. Because every time you try to reach out to somebody from the Ghana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union, they tell you of an agreement they have not to ventilate this matter in the public. not to fight it in the media. Sometimes you have to go down and fight nasty, dirty stink in the public, in the media. You have to put all of your dirty linen out there and let the public be the judge. Let the public deal with the judge. Let the public be the judge. Because one of the things I continue to say and I continue to believe is that when you decide that you're going to deal with things quietly, that's what the PPP want. That's what the political handlers want. Because they will get to do what they want to do in silence. And by the time you decide, well, hey, this thing is not going our way, let us go public, they would have already achieved their aims. You have heard many times when I criticize parliamentarians and regional chairpersons and political representatives and so on. I'd come back and tell you, they said, man, Kidaki, my office is always open to you. Could have come and let's talk about this thing. I have no interest in talking about anything over a desk. It is the public's business. Let us talk about it publicly so the public is aware of what is happening and the public can keep tabs on what is happening. So y'all could continue talking about these things in private. Discuss public business in private and see where you're going to get to. That is one of the problems. That is why we are where we are in a lot of instances. People are too scared to go public with the information they have. People are too scared, as they say, to adopt the scorch the earth policy. But when your opponents are adopting a scorch the earth policy, it would be foolhardy of you not to do the same. PPP has no qualms, and the acolytes of the PPP have no qualms about burning it down. They'd burn it down to the ground. They would, if it becomes necessary. But meantime, the rest of us are talking about the cost to the public, the cost to the public coffers. PPP ain't got time with that. The acolytes don't have time with that. They have a scorch the earth policy. Some of us need to learn to adopt a scorch the earth policy. Otherwise, we are going to get mashed into the earth. You're seeing it every single day. Like I said, I won't be talking for too long this morning. It is 7:45. The lines are now open. Let me hear your thoughts on these issues. And if you don't feel like talking, you can indicate so I can take my leave. It's Friday. Oh, it's June month, the anniversary of KAMS and myself. The anniversary of KAMS TV and my birthday anniversary come up in the month of July, as you know. Last year we had what, a takeaway lunch, I think, to mark the day. This year we are going to be planning something also. The boys are talking about a big dominoes tournament in the name of KAMS TV. And so that, you know, we celebrate our achievements. Many people didn't expect us to last so long. And so we have to celebrate every day that we are on this platform, bringing you information, bringing you knowledge. And so we're going to do just that this year also. We're going to be doing something in the month of July to mark the anniversary. 622-5933 is the number to call. Lines remain open. All day live, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning. Hi, man. I was listening to your, I not too long get onto your program, so I didn't get the full scope of what was said, just a little part of it. But to put it into a nutshell, we have a serious problem there in Guyana, as usual. You know, the song is like a stick record. Nobody is adhering to the rules and the laws in the institutions, the organizations, or how you want to put it, even to the constitution of the land. You know, and that's a very serious position the country finding itself into. And everything seems like have to be quoted or instructed from the courts there in Guyana in the judiciary. And soon, when all the actors and players find that, well, listen, this now is the last of the Mohicans, which is the court, soon we're going to start to see the glariness also in the court. So Guyanese gotta be looking at this thing seriously. They ain't gonna get a country. We're gonna start soon seeing horses and man strapping with guns around the waist, riding around that place. This where it's gonna come to, this where it's heading to. It's not far away. That's the second to last stage. I mean the last stage, the second to last is the court. And after then, that's it. Every man on his own. You know, and that is the situation that is facing Guyana there. Now, with this money now that is being given away and this new distraction or camouflage that they're putting about we are giving temporary jobs. I want Guyanese to pay keen attention with what Jack Day really is doing. Now, these places, if we could remember, all these people are going back to government places, you know, on a temporary basis for our work, 10 days a month, 40 grand a month. Now, if you to look at it, all these places, we were hearing to last month or month before the last. Vacancies not there. There's no work. The other day, the hospital in Linden was throwing out a set of people. Now, all of those institutions and places now is taking on these temporary workers. So it's actually the money is being taken, can't hand out just like that anymore. So to influence, get political influence. So what they're doing, they're using now jobs, temporary jobs, and these places that they put in these workers, them, you understand me, and they hand them 40 grand. I don't know if people is aware of what really is going on, because I was asking, where these jobs they're coming, who creating these jobs? Who are these new companies that has been going to be opening and bringing these temporary jobs? Because I hear the job they're going to run for a couple of months in the year, and that's it. It's something. It's close to what they're doing, handing out money. You know, but they can't keep doing it like that. They might be looking for trouble. So now they're using this temporary thing and putting people in those same areas who they fired people from a couple of years ago or a year ago. They're putting them back right there. They're splitting them up. I don't know if the opposition knows what is going on, or they're keeping tap when these people goes to the regions them and get people there to stand up and listen to what is going on and enlighten the Guyanese. That is what's going on, but I'm not against it, because Guyanese are getting money. Take the money, because the situation is going on in Guyana there. The people need the money. So take it any form of way it comes, but just showing you how Jack Deere is playing the system. You know. So that's my take, Kadiki, for this morning. Thank you. By the way, Kadiki, I sent you a text there on your WhatsApp, you know. See, you didn't read it. I was trying to get you, but you didn't respond or answer the call. Oh, then thank you.
Well, I guess it depends on the time you call.
Yeah. Oh, was Junior all what you call it, the drive that you all had with Mr. Hines and them? Yeah.
It's a long time
I
ago.
think. Yeah.
I don't know. I can't
Uh,
recall.
Yeah, as the text was sent on WhatsApp
Okay.
on the same number here. Yeah. All right then. Thank
You
you.
could send it back.
All right, good. Okay.
Good.
All right.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
6225933 is the number to call. The line remains open. I tell you the truth. Call in live. Good morning.
Morning, Kadaki, and do feel better. Morning, Guyana. And I guess the message would be for Brock Up Ben that this banner ain't afraid to come home or afraid to speak because of what they are trying to do is to silence opposition voice with this new situation they're trying to create, which is to say that, well, they will lock people up from the U.S. and other parts that they feel have incited bad behavior in Guyana. So tell Brock Ben, nobody afraid of him coming home to Guyana. One of the other things, too, is that, I mean, we've been preaching this for how long now, since you came on to KAMS, that the Guyanese people, especially the Africans, need to do much more. And they simply regressed, it seems like, in their thought and what they're doing. You stressed that already. They should hopefully be in court today in reference to that public service situation. But it just seems like always a step behind, and not anticipating that that's what these racist Indian people do. But yet still we want to still have faith that they'll do the right thing. Mr. Norton have not done a great job based on what he said he was going to do. So a lot of people have lost faith in his ability to push this racist government. And people each day, I feel, have been losing their mind and wits about the non-action that has been going on for over several months that since he have taken become the chairman of the party. It is ridiculous that all we are hearing is statement and statement and statement. He is building, yes, but you also have to have a two-pronged approach. While you're meeting, you got to go out there and show that you're doing something to the people. And I really do think that Guyana is simply lost, in my opinion, to the Africans. We allow it with our docility, and we're just hoping that racists are going to do the right thing. And plus, we're actually getting help from our other Negroes people. They're helping, these people. And they should be getting the South African treatment. And that's my take.
Thank you, caller. Are there any voice notes? I don't see any. I understand Glen Lyon team is going to be out there today again protesting. And so those of you who can, you're encouraged to join them. Protesting our contracts and the granting of licenses without the necessary EPA and insurance requirements being adhered to. So you can go there and join them. It's 3 minutes to the 8 o'clock hour. You're tuned to KAMS TV, Buxtonian Morning Time, on a Friday. It's Free Talk Friday, and like I said, you have the option of talking today, because I'm not firing at 100, and therefore I prefer to talk less. And so the lines remain open. And if you don't care about talking, then it might be advisable that I take my leave now. They say who fight and run away lives to fight another day. I say there's nothing wrong with me running away today. Because it means I will be back, hopefully 10 times stronger on Monday. So y'all decide what y'all want to do. I could start a weekend for you, you know. How about that? I wanna rule my destiny. Morning, neighbor, morning. Let's get ready to rumble. It's now 7 hours 1 on the 6th day of the 6th month in the year 2022. That is the 6th of June in the year 2022. Welcome to another program of Buxtonian Morning Time. I am your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. I'm coming to you live from the studios of KAMS TV located in Buxton. And of course, we're coming to you on social media, Facebook Live, because you know, there's no spectrum to be given to folks like myself. Because if you're black, you must stand back. If you're brown, you could stick around. And if you're white, or you think you're white, haha. Closer you are to white, everything will be alright. Yes, it's another week. I trust you had a productive week last week. I trust that all the pieces fell into place and that you came out stronger, more empowered, and more determined to succeed. I trust that the weekend was kind to you. You had the opportunity to rest and recuperate, R&R, and you were able to connect also with some good friends and so on. Because no man is an island, no man stands alone. And so we need friends, as in community. When we talk friends, a lot of people believe we just talk about, you know, the body that we hang down the road with and so on, you know, as they say, you ride or die. But community is more than that. Friendship is more than that. Some of us have friends we haven't seen in years. We haven't uttered a word to in eons, in years. But you know what? Deep within our heart, we know that's my friend. And if I find myself in a situation and I pick up my phone and I call, it's likely my call is going to be answered at the first ring or at the earliest opportunity available. If not answered, returned. And likewise, those very friends know that they can do that. It's just that sometimes you get caught up in your day-to-day hustle, as we say, and you have to respect the hustle. You have to respect the hustle. The people are hustling under different circumstances. And so we may not have the time to call each other every day and discuss the latest gossip. But we're hustling to ensure that, we can make a better day for not only ourselves and families, but those very friends. Should the need arise that they find themselves in certain situations. And it's important that we keep that in mind. No man is an island. No man stands alone in everything that we do. Many of us like to operate like one-man army. It is the I. We do everything by ourselves. It is the I. Because we don't want others to know the trick. We don't want others to know the trade secret. We don't want others to know what we are doing. It is important, yes, to protect what you're doing and the important elements of what you're doing. But it is also important to have, as I like to say and understudy, somebody who can carry on the legacy in your absence. We're just human beings. We don't know when this life will leave our bodies. And what would be painful for many of us is if, as life leaves our body, we look back and we recognize that all we were toiling to establish alone is going to crumble and go to waste because there's no one left to carry on a legacy. There are many of us who might be arguing that when you see, when you look back, when Forbes Burnham looks back at this country, that he had an integral role in shaping. He turns in his grave, as many would say. Knowing that all of those who were around him and beside him, all of them, it would appear as though none of them learned lessons at his feet to ensure the continuity of his legacy. The man that he handpicked, Desmond White, over Hamilton Green, in short order, after his death, started tearing his legacy apart. Many will argue that circumstances caused that. Cold War was coming to an end. The US had a different approach to the PNC government and so on and so forth. PNC operatives and so on and so forth. And so Desmond White right away went into opening up the economy, removing restrictions on certain foreign produced items, etc., etc. And critically, isolated many of whom he considered the bad eggs of the Forbes Burnham era. And so he had this big falling out with Hamilton Green, the man who was beside Forbes Burnham, quote unquote, in the trenches, keeping things together. And we've seen the downward spiral from then on to now. We've seen the struggles of Robert Corbyn after Desmond White to rebuild the party, if I can call it that. He has had his successes, but he has had his fair number of failures. But the one thing he can say, or many will say, is that when he departed with a party stronger than he perhaps inherited. because while he was there, the numbers were dwindling and dwindling and dwindling. And then he came up with his grand idea to get into bed with the WPA, the arch enemy. And that brought changing fortunes. If we haven't learned from that, if our political leaders have not learned from that, then we will continue to be in this morass we're in. Because what Corbyn demonstrated is that sometimes you have to put your differences aside for the greater good of your people. Of your people. I have been, you know me, I'm always observing and analyzing and criticizing and so on, and bringing the information to you as raw as our culture itself will allow us to. I don't mince words, I don't try to sugarcoat anything. I give it to you as it is so you can understand it. Because out of that understanding, one would expect that there is change in attitudes. And so this morning there's some things I want to address, as I call them, lies, damn lies, and disrespect. Many who were in the coalition, led by David Granger, after the departure of Robert Corbyn, will tell you that immediately after Corbyn left, David Granger did perhaps just what Hoyt did to Bono, started destroying his quote-unquote legacy, systems that were left in place. Because of course every leader has his own style, and every leader believes that he brings a different set of ideas and possibilities to the party and to the fore and so on. Yeah. But like we witnessing with the PPP, many leaders believe that they're not supposed to be building on what they inherited. They just tear it down and start over. And so with David Granger at the helm of the coalition, a lot of things which existed under Corbyn went through the door. For example, there were certain arrangements for WPA as a founding member of APNU and the PNC as another founding member of the APNU to have what I would call bilateral discussions should certain issues arise. When important decisions are to be made, the two of us started this thing. Let us sit and examine what's the situation, and so knock our heads together, as we like to say in Guyana, and come up with a common approach. That went through the door early o'clock. Any meeting with the WPA and the PNC as part of the coalition will take place among or inclusive of every other member at the same time. And so these two founding members couldn't sit outside of the regular gathering of coalition members and strategize, you know. No, that couldn't happen. And so as Chinua Achebe said, things fell apart. People are still saying WPA must return to the coalition because people recognize hope in coalition politics. The possibility is that WPA will assuming that the conditions are going to be feasible, make things feasible, return to the coalition. Because WPA, for all you know, was always involved in coalition politics. WPA joined with the PPP and the TUF and a whole host of other parties in the 80s into the 90s under at least two big tents. You had the PCD, People's Coalition for Democracy. I seem to remember that one. And so maybe if the conditions are right, you can see that happening. But are you seeing the movements, if I can call it that? Are you seeing the workings that would suggest to you that other people are interested in rebuilding, strengthening the coalition, if you can call it that? I saw over the weekend or in the course of last week utterances to the extent that the Alliance for Change is now considering its part in the APNU AFC coalition. Whether or not it has a meaningful role to play, whether or not it should stay in the coalition and so on. They have Congress that's coming up. I think that's what they call it. And it's one of the issues they will examine there. Let me put it out there. I won't be surprised. I will not be surprised if at the end of that Congress it is announced that the AFC is leaving the APNU AFC coalition. Sometimes people think that we are Obia men, we are seafarers. You just examine what is before us. Look at the president, look at the behavior of the leader of the AFC. Look at his utterances. It would seem in recent times that he's doing so much to ingratiate himself, to be in the good books of the likes of Jack Dio and Irfan Ali and so on, and the PPP. Right? He's there all the time. He's like another member of the coalition who say you must position yourself for recognition. Ramjitan behaves like the prodigal son. You left home, you had a good time, and so situations have changed. You think it's time to return home.
Low battery. Low battery.
That's what it would appear to be. So we need to keep our eyes out on that. We need to also watch, listen and watch, and learn by examining the actions of the leader of the opposition, Aubrey Norton. Good morning, sir. I understand he's out there doing work, meeting in the communities and so on. But I wonder what partnerships are being built to ensure that all of that work will pay off at the end of the day. Because like I said, no man is an island, no man stands alone. If you are a leader or you're a foot soldier, they got somebody you must report to. Somebody must know what you're doing. Somebody must be able to share the vision, and so that they can help to keep it alive should something happen down the road. Are these leaders that we have, and I'm talking leaders in civil society and elsewhere, political parties and so on, do they really report to the constituents? Do they help them to understand what's happening? Do they help them to understand the plan of action, etc.? Think about that. And while you think about it, I need to take a drum break to deal with the situation. I should take about 3-5 minutes max. Bear with me. Yes. The good book says or asks the question, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world yet loses his soul? The question is, what does it profit leaders to go there and do all of the work, or put in a lot of work, But nobody understands the work that is being done. Nobody can continue the work that is being done because they don't have an understanding of the importance of that work. One of the things I read the AFC as saying is that they are at this point because they are not sure or they don't believe that they are included enough in decision making. So is there a breakdown in relationship? Is there a breakdown in communication between these two major political parties who are now the remnants of the coalition, the APNU-AFC coalition? When last, for example, that group that represents the coalition had a sit down, and so the AFC can understand what's the APNU's current state and position on issues. You see, sometimes, as they say, there's a thin line between love and hate. There's a thin line between the PNC and the APNU, AFC. Especially that it has one leader, Aubrey Norton. So while Aubrey Norton is out there working to rebuild the PNC, many might see that as coalition work. But in actuality, it is PNC's work. The question is, what is happening over at the coalition? And if nothing is happening over at the coalition, then one has to ask itself, is the coalition just a coalition of convenience? That tomorrow an election is called and you call it coalition together. For coalitions to succeed, in my mind, they need long-term planning. And so just as you're rebuilding, people have to be able to walk on several planks at the same time. You're rebuilding the PNC, you're rebuilding the AFC, you're rebuilding the WPA. We're also rebuilding the coalition. You have to recognize that. Right? You have to recognize that. But as it would appear, we're in a situation where, and not only politically, when you look across the country, it's as if when the masses give authority to a few to lead, as in the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union, they behave as though the masses have given up all rights to have an input into what is happening. Right? That's not how it is supposed to be. You've been entrusted to lead. But we also have ideas. We also have dreams and aspirations. We also would want to see movements along a certain line. But you can only know our thinking if you consult with us. We will only understand your line of march if you sit and have a discussion with us. And so I think it's one of the things which is lacking in this society. It's one of the things which is lacking in this whole political situation, socio-political situation. I don't think enough is being done to help people to understand what's happening and how you're dealing with it, what roles they have to play or what roles they can play. Let's talk about the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union. Last week we read that, or we learned that the Chief Co-ops Development Officer, CCDO, acting, met the players. Met the contesting parties over what is happening there in terms of all the shenanigans for leadership. Right? All the shenanigans. And in that meeting, in short, what happened is, despite all the breaches identified by folks like Trevor Ben and Patrick Mentor and others who understand the co-op and the regulations which govern co-op, all the breaches that were identified, despite all of those breaches, the CCDO said, the deed is done, leave it as it is. Because if you don't leave it as it is, I will have to implement an IMC. But just as the CCDO has the authority to implement an IMC, the membership has the authority to dismiss the committee of management and have them replaced by way of a special general meeting. But while the CCDO is exercising our right, the CCDO and the masqueraders and the management committee of the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union are not respecting the rights of the members. Because the members have asked, by way of petition, far exceeding the number of signatures that they needed, to cause to be held a special general meeting. Up until now, there is no indication that that special general meeting is going to be held. Because the masqueraders are not keen on hosting that meeting because of the fact that they know that the petition says that all of them who are masquerading should never ever be elected again to that management committee. And so if you are asking me to convene a meeting that will banish me, then why would I want to convene that meeting? What forces me to convene that meeting? What ensures that that meeting is convened? The regulations which say that the members got the final say. But that regulation could only be upheld if the CCDO insists on its on it being upheld. And for all intents and purposes, it would appear as though the CCDO has no interest in having the regulations upheld so that that special meeting can be held so that the masqueraders can be moved off of the scene. Because it's not within her interest and her political handlers' interest to have that happen. So the members, despite being the majority, are non-entities. As it would appear, they are non-entities. They ain't got no say in this thing. What is the next step, therefore? What logically should happen? Logically, a member or members can come together and approach the courts on this issue. First and foremost, they can put a hold to what's happening by getting an injunctive order, an injunction, to prevent this current group of masqueraders from acting on behalf of the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union. And when that injunction is passed, I don't know what are the instructions that will follow the injunction, whether or not they have to return to the earlier status quo of Trevor Benn as chairman, Bento as vice chairman, and so on and so forth, or if it is going to result in the institution of an IMC. But at the end of the day, since it is recognized that things are not going to be the way it's supposed to be, an injunction can be sought. Right? And certain orders asked for to move forward. One of those orders could be that the meeting be held by the prescribed date. But injunctions cost money. Legal actions cost money. And I rather suspect that we're not going to see any injunction, because the ordinary rank and file members of the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union don't have the kind of money that is needed to approach the courts. My understanding is, as soon as you approach a lawyer on a matter like this, you have two sets of fees. One is called the filing fee, and the other is the service fee, which means the lawyer's fee plus filing fees. And it can get into the millions. Right? So as soon as you start thinking about this, you have to start thinking, I need at least $1 million. If one member or two members, because that's all it takes, a member or two, from the rank and file of the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union to file an injunction, if one or two members step forward and say, we're going to file this injunction, or we would like to be the face of this injunction, the question is, where are they getting the money from to pay the service fee and the filing fee? Because for the greater part, these are poor people. And I know I've spoken to a number of persons who are willing to file an injunction. But it comes right back to that. Where are we getting the money from? Who is going to pay for this? We don't have the money to pay for it. And so, like I said, I rather suspect we're not going to see an injunction against what is happening at the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union. And we're not likely to see that special meeting, I think, the 25th of this month either. Why? Because people are operating individualistic. People are operating as though each is an island. Those who were given the task of leading well, Dennis Champagne Collison, I beg your indulgence, kindly educate us so we can know what kind of money we're talking about. Note, as I like to say, I ain't a loose cannon. I don't just run out there. Good? And note, I didn't say it's $1 million filing fees. I said the cost would approximate $1 million inclusive, or a combination of, the lawyer's fee and filing fees. Right? So the cost of representation plus filing is likely to run you in the vicinity of $1 million minimum. Or maybe, depending on which lawyer you're looking at, it might be less, but my research says talking about $1 million. Put your money where your mouth there. Collison, I would like if you can explain further for us if you have other information. But here it is, I'm seeing. $1 million looks like climbing Mount Everest. Tough task, because it is looked at from the individual point of view. But if we were to look at the membership of the Guyana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union, there are thousands of them. And let's take 1,000 members, for example, and each gives $1,000. You'll get $1 million quickly. If you take 2,000 members and each give $500, you're going to get $1 million. And so the cost of the petition is not insurmountable. It can be done. But the people can only know what is expected of them if it is explained to them. If leaders come off of their high horses and meet the people they represent and say, well, this is the situation. They say the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And so if you shut them out, nobody knows what the situation is. Of the few members that I spoke to who were willing to file this petition, they don't have the reach. They have to depend on their leaders to make it possible for others to understand, well, hey, this is what it will take, this is what is required to file this petition. So I'm sitting here this morning explaining this on behalf of them. And so all of you union members who are hearing me should start reaching out to the people you quote unquote trust, the people you have empowered to lead this process, and ask them, hey, how can we help? How can we help? Are you willing to be the custodian of this $1,000 donation from each of us until it gets to $1 million so that this petition can be filed, this injunction can be filed? All of you, most of you perhaps knew of the meeting that took place Thursday, Friday, whenever it was. Has anybody reached out, for example, to Trevor Ben, Patrick Mentor, or any other member of the committee and say, what is the way forward? How can we help? Has any member of the committee reached out to the membership and said, this is the situation, this is how you can help? No. Everybody is operating what? In a silo. No man is an island. And it's one of the problems we have in our society. Black society. Working class society. So I'm encouraging you this morning. Start calling people. Start calling people. Find out. Hey, is who want to file this petition, this injunction? Do we have a number for that person? Can we contribute to the cause? Because the burden becomes lighter when many hands are at work. And it would be a burning shame, I'm saying it would be a burning shame, it would be a burning shame if for $1 million this situation is not challenged in a court. Somebody says some law firm needs to do a pro bono case. Maybe a law firm doesn't have to do a pro bono case. Maybe a lawyer doesn't have to do a pro bono case. Maybe they can be asked to reduce their fees. Filing fees are filing fees. Right? Filing fees are filing fees. at the instruction of my physician. You know, that's why I have to be so careful of how I act on these programs. I don't know who's looking. Anyways, filing fees are standard perhaps. You can't change them. What is a lawyer or a legal firm willing to cut, let's say, their service fees by half? Right? And so if the lawyer or the firm is willing to cut their service fee by half, then obviously the $1 million burden gets reduced. Not necessarily by half, but by that amount that the lawyer or the firm is going to reduce their fees. So that too might be an option. But is it that we always have to ask people to do free work because it is community work? No, I don't think it's necessary to always ask people to do free work because it is community work. Lawyers have to earn their keeps. They have overhead, they have families, and so on, and they have to earn their keeps. What we can ask them is to make a contribution to the cause by reducing their fee, taking a smaller amount than what is standard. Right? Sometimes as a society, sometimes as a group, we have to approach them and say, listen, you have a moral responsibility to cut your fees, because this thing is going to be good for all of us as a people, as a nation, as a society. Good? But don't fool yourself. Just as I'm saying that there's some people who are in the business, the legal business. Well, you're going to the legal business or any business to make money. And so some people are only concerned about the amount of money they could make. I'm the best in this business. I'm going to fit my fee at the highest, and you could pay it or leave it. Because there's another person waiting for my service out there. They don't look at the greater good to society. One of the things I marvel at, and I ask myself, how could it have been done on one side of the aisle, but it can be done on the other side of the aisle? Exaggeratingly, every day, Anil and Lal had a case before the courts challenging some action or other of the past government. Every day, Anil and Lal was before the court. Every day he was filing something. Every day he was challenging something. Is it that he has access to limitless money? Or is it that the people who are the faces of these filings, is it that they had access to limitless money? Or is it that he recognized that he was doing this for his society? And since he was doing it for his society, he was going to do it minus the cost, his fees? Or is it that the people he represented were spreading the burden so that it becomes lighter on the individuals? I don't know how he was doing it, but it was being done, and it shows that it can be done. Why then is it not being done on this other side of the aisle? Is it because we're operating as though every man is an island, every man stands alone? Is it just because of what's in it for me and not what's in it for us? These are things I want us to ask ourselves. And as some people will ask, how did we get here? We have our political representatives. A whole host of them are lawyers. A whole host of them were at the trough feeding while the coalition was in office. And I have no apologies to make for that, or what I'm about to say. A whole host of them. A whole host of them had benefits coming to them while the coalition was in office. You got people who were made senior counsels, people who were made special prosecutors. You know how much money special prosecutors made in this country? Go check the newspaper, you will see the amount of money special prosecutors were and are being paid in this country. And so if you were a special prosecutor, you make some money. What happened, man? You lick blackboard, you broke already in 2 years? That to reduce your fee for a particular issue, they're going to break your back. Patricia called them, maybe the PNC needs to establish a cartel too. But many will argue that they didn't take the time to establish a cartel. Many will argue that they shut themselves away from the people who could have helped to form that cartel. Don't let's go there. It's not necessarily going to be tidy. Y'all know me. Like I say, I don't curry favor. I don't sugarcoat anything. I call it as I see it. I was about to ask how many millionaires or multi-millionaires the coalition made while it was in office, so that they can get the kind of support that they need now, financially and otherwise. Some people will tell me none, but I'm telling you they made millionaires or multi-millionaires. But the millionaires and multi-millionaires who were made under the coalition don't understand or didn't understand or refuse to accept that they now owe it to themselves to return the favor. Y'all hear what I'm saying? They refuse to recognize and accept that they owe it to return the favor. Like I was saying, many were special prosecutors, they made a lot of money. Many were given silk by virtue of by just giving you silk, your value got up. Senior counsel this, senior counsel that. So when people come to you as senior counsel, they ain't coming to you as no barrister or whatever they call him. No ordinary lawyer. You have arrived, quote unquote. So a whole host of lawyers are around the coalition or were around the coalition when the coalition was in office, and they made money through all kinds of means, facilitating deals, being legal representatives for this firm and that firm because they have, what I would say, reach in the government. And obviously people have to pay for that, like sue. So let's run from that. The coalition had its own sues. And so the people there who made money, while the coalition was in office. Don't let us fool ourselves. Don't they recognize now that there's some fights that they should be supporting? They should be the sponsors of some fight. Albeit, quote-unquote, clandestinely. They should stay in the background, but ensure certain fights are fought to the logical end and won. One of those fights is the GPSCCU matter. $1 million joke money. Joke money. Some of y'all just do dark things with $1 million in a night. But y'all ain't seeing the greater good. Should this Ghana Public Service Cooperative Credit Union issue be allowed to just go the way it is right now? It's a slap in the face of the masses, the ordinary rank and file members of the co-op. It's a slap in their face. It's a slap in the faces of the political leaders, because this is a political issue. But people are not seeing, well, not that they're not seeing it. People are selfish in their assessments. And so despite it's a political issue and we are the political leaders, we are not willing to make the sacrifices financially and otherwise to have justice done in this situation. Because what it comes down to, how much should me? How will I benefit? I am not a member of the co-op. And this I includes me, Kidaki Amsterdam. I'm not a I was never a public servant really. I've never been a member of the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union. And so many will ask, why are you fighting this issue? How does it benefit you? It benefits me to fight the issue because the people who I claim to represent or have a desire to represent will be the beneficiaries of good management of this Public Service Co-op Credit Union. And so I have a moral responsibility to ensure that they are represented fully so that they get the kind of management which will see them benefit. The same goes for those in the political hierarchy, those who are lawyers, etc., and are in the political hierarchy. The coalition has several lawyers who are in parliament, I think. Let me say, I think. I know Royce Ford, Senior Counsel Royce Ford is the Shadow Minister of Legal Affairs in the National Assembly. Well, Darren Wade is not in the National Assembly. Basil Williams is Senior Counsel. Basil Williams was Attorney General under the coalition. I see recently he has been reminiscing on a lot of cases that he represented the government in and so on. But I have not heard him coming to the fore and say, well, I will take this one on. I will take one for the team here. I didn't hear Royce Ford say, I'm going to take one for the team. I mean, they say, now everything you do, you go and stand on a mountain top and say, I am doing it. And I will do it. But I really haven't heard anybody saying, well, you see this Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union issue? I'm going to deal with it. Because for the greater part, the people who will be affected are represented by me on the political level of things. I don't see that happening. And so what do I say? Members of the Co-op Credit Union, you have several options. Start calling your representatives at the Co-op Credit Union to ask them how you can help to meet this cost for this member or members to file this injunction. Likewise, call on your political leaders to play their part in having this matter resolved to the benefit of you. This is a political fight. This ain't just about union control, public service co-op credit union control. It's about control that will lead to further oppression of a particular group of people politically. And if the leaders can't see it, then I don't know what right they have leading. People believe every political matter is a matter in parliament or is a matter about government. Politics affects us every single day. Every single day, your life is affected by politics. You wake up this morning and you can't eat a piece of cheese that you want is because of politics. Because the politicians did not do enough to ensure that you are paid enough to be able to afford the basic necessities. Dexali said, now you see as citizens, why you don't get involved in politics? No, Dex, I disagree with you. Now you see as citizens why you should get involved in politics. One of the things which is responsible, I think, for us having this dirty and stink political culture is because the people with morality, if I can call it that, always step back and say, I don't want anything to do with politics. So if you allow all the rotten, damaged cabbage to lead, what you can get? Now rotten, damaged leadership. Huh? If you believe that you are morally upright, let's say loosely, and you really have the interests of the people at heart, you ought to step into politics. Because when you don't occupy that position, somebody who really has only self-interest at heart is going to go and take it. And we will end up right where we are. This kind of behavior. Look at Charandas. Right? If one of you good deed person had gotten involved in politics, maybe you would have gotten Charandas' position and therefore we would not have ended up where we are. Right? I'm just trying to rationalize. The more good people, quote unquote good people, because the Bible says, above all else, the heart of man is desperately wicked. Right? If more good-hearted people were to step into the politics of this country, we might be able to change the politics of this country. But the people with good ideas and intentions and morality and so on are running, they're backing away from the fight. Politics is a dirty game, but you stay far from that. If the place is nasty and you stay far from the broom, how are you cleaning it? You expect somebody else to do the dirty work. And the people you expect to do the dirty work are the people who are enjoying the filth. Have you considered that? Have you considered that? Start holding them accountable. They don't like when I tell you these things. They don't like when I analyze them like that. I know that I sit down and cuss Skidaki. This one I always tell yourself you know. So now I always putting you on blast. Yes, y'all gotta go on blast. Because It's y'all sit down there and collecting a parliamentary pension, a parliamentary salary, you know, is that me? It's not me, you know. It's y'all. All the parliamentarians. It's y'all, you know. And let me say this loud and clear. I don't want any parliamentarian to tell me that what they're getting from parliament is chicken feed. It's a stipend. It's small money. It is better than the salaries of the ordinary public servant. Number one. Number two. Number two, you are allowed to do other jobs as parliamentarians. We don't have a full-time parliament in this country. And so our parliamentarians are not full-time, or they're not prevented from working other jobs. And so what they're getting from parliament is supplementary income. If they choose to sit with a quote-unquote stipend from parliament and do nothing else, then that's on them. That's on them. But they have an opportunity to have multiple streams. And most of them, if not all of them, utilize that opportunity. So how about sacrificing a fraction of 1 month's income towards a worthy cause for your political followers? Huh? Y'all talk to me. Let me talk. Sometimes my reasoning I'm sure it puts me in a lot of trouble with other people, right? I'm going to pelt 2 stones here. I hope y'all could duck. And when I'm done pelting these 2 stones, I will open up the line. And let me say, I'm not pelting these stones from a position of knowledge. Well, 100% knowledge. I'm juxtaposing what I read in the media by way of some allegation or some sort against somebody. If it is accurate that over the Ghana Public Service Co-op Credit Union, the CEO, newly hired CEO, gets about $1 million a month. Huh? Person gets about $1 million a month. I was told, I read, I understand, salaries plus allowances. I think a certain minister was trying to, in the efforts to paint Mr. Trevor Ben as perhaps the devil's incarnate, was saying to the public that as chairman of the Co-op Society, Trevor Ben was earning perhaps in excess of $1 million a month too. Let's assuming that's accurate. Trevor was earning, let's say, $1 million a month. What was his deputy, vice chairman mentor earning? What were the committee members earning? Because I read also where the committee members, their quote-unquote stipend was increased by a great lot. I understand, quote-unquote, people were getting livable wages. Maybe it's one of the only agencies in this country where people can say they're getting livable wages. And if that is true, If that is true, why not ask those people? All of them will be willing to give, because some of them like the status quo, so they wouldn't want it challenged. But can we get some sacrifices from some of those who were sitting right up top there, or who are sitting right up top there, to support this member or members who want to file this injunction to see a better management in place for the Guyana Public Service Co-op Credit Union? Let's just, for argument's sake, say Trevor was getting $1 million. Just for argument's sake, ask him to contribute an entire $1 million. Make that big sacrifice. It's a month's salary. You could live off of 11 months. That's all I'm saying. Right? But of course, Maslow's hierarchy tells us, as we move up in life, our expenses become bigger. Understand that. The higher up you go, the more you will spend. And so while I am seeing $1 million a month as big money, because I'm not up there, sometimes $1 million a month for Trevor or whoever is a drop in the ocean. Because if I'm earning $1 million a month, then my house would have to reflect that, my car would have to reflect that, the kind of clothing I wear will have to reflect that. And so I will very well find that I have a big mortgage, because my mortgage is based on that $1 million a month. The car I'm driving might be a gas guzzler, because it has to project my status. Right? I'm just rationalizing. But those are my thoughts on these issues this morning. Right? There's something I wanted to talk with you before I leave. Oh, there's a video I want to play. Right? There's a video I want to play. I hope I can get it played. I'm sure other people would have played it before. Right? Well, I want to play it myself, because of course I like to come out of left field with these things. Let me see if I get to play it. I like to come out of left field with them.
Nothing from here about them.
Comrade, don't talk nonsense about government neglect.
Why I want to talk nonsense?
From government, nothing from here about them.
Comrade, don't talk nonsense about government neglect in the area. You know
Yes,
what we
you
don't talk nonsense about government neglect in the area. You know
Yes,
what we Chelly Jordan took over what we started off with? We started off with debt, not enough money to pay debts. Remember those days? A lot of people don't remember the early days.
You are telling us that we can't find money, and we are a nation, the second largest nation in the world, sir.
But this is the thing. Come on, don't you read?
I read.
Don't you read?
I read.
That's the government that cares, right? Tell me, Gandhi, what nonsense you talking? What nonsense you...
Nothing from hear about them.
Comrade,
You know
you're
how
talking
nothing about
nonsense about government neglecting the area. You know
Yes,
what we
you know
You're
how
talking
nothing about
nonsense about government neglecting the area. You know
Yes,
what
he
we when Cherry
neglected.
Jagan took
He
over,
go
what
out of
we
village.
started off with? We started off with debt, not enough money to pay debts. Remember those days? A lot of people don't remember the early days.
You was telling us that we can't find money and we are an island nation, the second largest island nation in the world, sir.
But this.
Y'all hear that? First thing, your political leader got a gumption to tell you you're talking nonsense. But do you have the gumption to tell your political leader he talking nonsense? Or they're doing nonsense? First thing, that's the first thing I recognize from this video. The third-term bald-head monster had the gumption to tell the people who he was having an interaction with, y'all talking nonsense. What happened to you? You don't read? You can't read? You're intellectually lazy? You gotta learn to read. That's how your political leaders come at you. And you don't come back at them. You see them as gods and demigods, that you don't call them out on the nonsense. You know what's instructive in this video? When Jagdeo talk about when they took over, they had no money, access to pay debts and so on, and that was the situation they were coming from. A black woman is standing in front there and shaking her head in agreement. She dunce. She intellectually lazy. I mean, she might be a PPP. So she agree with your leader. But if from 1992 to now, it's how many years? 30 years? I hope my math's right. About 30 years. If you have to justify, and let me stop. 30 years is a generation. Is that what they say? If you have to go back one generation to justify your current situation, when you were in control for at least 2/3 of that generation, something is woefully wrong with your leadership and your vision. And people need to recognize it for that. Jagdeo went back 30 years to convince, or to try to convince the folks there, that they can't do anything, or they can't do better for them than they're doing now. And people stand up there shaking their heads. People stand up there shaking their heads.
Low battery.
What does that say
Low battery.
about us as a people? Despite which side of the aisle we on. Huh? If you gotta go back 30 years to tell your child, but you can't get milk today, you fail as a parent. You fail as a parent. And so, obviously, this joke has failed. Because he has been, in that 30 years, finance minister, president, and vice president. Right? Finance minister, under Cherry Jagan and Janet Jagan and so on. Many argue that he thief and gave Cherry his first and final heart attack. Good? Was made president under Janet Jagan. Sat there for quite a while. And now is vice president under the fat guy. And that is the only answer he has to give to citizens of this country, that he can do better because of 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Apart from that, the manner in which he responded to those folks in a different political culture might have seen the end of his political career. But in GT, we good with everything. We good with everything in GT. The other issues I can address this morning, but let's open up the line. 6225933 is the number to call. You tune to the Buxtonian morning time. Let's attack half, left half. Attack half, left half. The lines are open. What nonsense you talking? Banning and no respect for age? Well, we know that because he did tell Janet, you're a private citizen. Banning and respect for man or mantle. You tell her, stop now, stop. All you're doing is disturbing things. Guy's a disrespectful guy. A little upstart. Maybe botheration. Call it live, good morning.
Good morning, Kadaki. Well, this is the last time I'll be calling you on this program, and I will not be making any more Facebook comments about the PPP government, because when I come home, they may arrest me. Did you hear that?
Well, I heard it. I'm trying to process it. Because I can't understand how you expect me to be carrying a fire and you backing down. Because we're you're gonna lock up people who instigating fires.
You understand?
The fire has to be stoked, you know.
Exactly. And then they talking about dictatorship, Burnham dictatorship, or what dictatorship, and all kind of dictatorship. You know, this nonsense that these people talking, as you said just now. And if it was a different culture, different area, a different location, he would have been gone a long time. You understand? And they think they could threaten people. They think they could bully people. And they love to talk about bullying, who bullied them and who ain't bullied them and what's not. You know, let them push fire, man. They're going to get it. Because I know they ain't got water for out it. You understand me? I know there is no water to out the fire that come in. Anyhow, I ain't backing down.
Because you gotta get fire stokers, you know.
Yeah, we gotta get what?
Fire stokers, people gotta push the flame, man. You gotta find the flame.
Exactly. I ain't backing down. You understand? We gonna continue to push it. So he could continue to talk cheese as we see. Right? We ain't backing down. You better make a big enough lockup for all of us. You understand? Because we ain't stopping. Anyhow, that's my contribution.
Thank you for the call. Call it live. Good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam.
Present.
Good program. But what I want to say that we are in a very sad state at this moment. And unless black people wake up and get their act together, we're going to always be where we are. For example, Mr. Amsterdam, look, you think black people don't have money in the bank? They do, but they're afraid to invest. And the Indians, in turn, go to the bank, borrow the same black people money, invest in business, while we just watching our money being squandered all left, right, and center. and we want to blame each other. But we got to get our act together. We have to, unless we start investing in businesses. Some of us don't want to go to agriculture. Agriculture is a good business because we have to eat and people have to eat. So unless we do some kind of business, farming, get into construction, invest our money in other business, employ our own people, invest our money among ourselves, stop spending with those that don't like us, because they only see us as consumers, not investors. So we gotta get our act together and stand up for what we believe in and stand together with each other, not backbiting on each other. And we got to stop accepting the bottom ball where they're bringing every time they come to the black society, it's a bottom ball. They give them the iPad, black people. And when they go to the other people, they give them money. Why are they not giving us money so we could invest in something? We don't want our children running around, lashing ball and bat about the place. We need money to invest too. So we got to stop this nonsense. When they come with the bottom ball, let it go with it. We don't want that. So there's my contribution this morning.
Carter, Magnum said something the other day. DJ Magnum said something the other day. He said, if I'm sitting on my veranda with my children and I see freebies coming around, I send them inside.
That's right.
We don't lock our children away. We allow them to go and collect the bottom balls. So we good with that.
Yeah. That is it.
Right?
We become a bottom ball nation.
You send certain black leaders into Indo-Guyanese communities and you'll be surprised to see that the children will not even cross the gate to say hi.
That's a fact.
But when you flip the coin, you got a set of us folks running out to hug up bar, jag you and skin with teeth like we sell in Colgate.
That's how we stay.
Right? We don't understand the importance of such images, All right.
Yeah.
Have a good day. Thank you for your call.
Yeah, you too.
It is those very images that they use and say, look, it's only a group of people saying that we bad to Afro-Guyanese. Look how many Afro-Guyanese are hugging us up and being cheerful with us because we're good to them, including James Bond. Those are the posters, poster children. Right? Those are the poster boys and girls for the PPP inclusive argument. But some of them don't even understand that is what they're doing. So when the PPP is accused of being discriminatory and being exclusive, where black people are concerned, they bring up the photos. Right? Look, we were at the conference. Look, it's James Bond with the leader of the opposition, vice president or president and so on and so forth. Look, this is an ordinary resident from Buxton having a happy gaff with the vice president. We are saying but we discriminatory and racist and so on. So then how are we seen in these photos with these happy looking black people? Note I said happy looking black people. Right? How? Y'all wrong, man. It's we helping them to make them posters. And y'all gonna see them posters out at the election time. Good? Y'all gonna see them. Y'all continue positioning for recognition. 6225933 is the number to call. It's 8 hours 28 on the 6th of June in the year 2022. Yes. KAMS Hideout is open from 6 in the evening to midnight. Y'all come and check it out. It's a good look. Comfortable, affordable atmosphere. Come. Get some good drinks and so on. Not necessarily soup. Right? And cutters and things. Come down. Spend some time with us. Who knows? Maybe we'll have to establish a political corner in the bar. So those who have an interest in sitting around a table and some cold ones and chatting politics, you're going to be welcome. Can someone tell me who controls the list of coalition MPs. Let me explain the list business to you. You have what you call a representative of the list. That is provided to GCOM prior to an election. That representative of the list is like, let me say, if you want to call it a secretary, glorified secretary. In that, if GCOM wants to communicate about anything to do with that list, that's the person that he will speak with. As it is, David Granger was named representative of the list going into the last elections. All right, so Wayne says to call it a round table. We're going to have a round table at KAMS place. What color you want it in? Right? So I'm saying David Granger was named representative of the list. So anything to do with the list in terms of communicating with GCOM, that responsibility was and still remains David Granger's, as far as I know. But a lot of people are taking that to mean that David Granger has the ultimate say as to who can be drawn as what we say extracted from the list and sent to Parliament. No, David Granger doesn't have that ultimate say right now, as far as I know. Right? The political party or political grouping which contested the election has that final say. So technically, it is the APNU-AFC coalition which decides who gets sent to Parliament, because I believe this is where that question is leading, or who gets withdrawn from Parliament. So technically, if you want to withdraw somebody from Parliament, that APNU-AFC coalition should be sitting, having their discussions, agreeing on the way forward, and making that move. Likewise, if they want to send somebody, that is the process. When they have made that decision, well, look, we are going to send A, we are going to withdraw A and send B, they will communicate with David Granger to communicate with GCOM that this is a decision that we made. Y'all got the picture? That's how it is supposed to be done. I hope I answered the question. Like Seliana said, the color of the table should be the color that represents your political party. But this table must be all-inclusive. So how about us making it a multicolored table? So all political representatives can feel free to sit at the table and talk at the round table. Mustafa Blackman is asking if it isn't Granger who has to write the speaker or GCOM. Well, I think I explained that. Yes, Granger has to write the speaker or GCOM, but based on instructions coming from the political party. Granger doesn't wake up tomorrow morning and decide, hey, I want to see the back of Aubrey Norton. And he writes GCOM and say, get rid of Aubrey Norton. Right? No. He has to receive information and instruction from the political grouping that says, listen, we no longer, we have agreed that we don't want Aubrey there anymore. Please inform GCOM. Right? In terms of why he is still representative of the list, because I think it might be administratively decent to keep him as representative of the list. Because sometimes maybe you have to jump through hoops to get him changed as representative of the list. And since it's a mere quote-unquote administrative position, if I can call it that, then it really doesn't matter who does it. That's it. Most of us, so if he plays hardball and refuses or delay that process, the coalition is screwed. But so far, a fair number of accusations were made against David Granger playing hardball. Right? But at the end of the day, as far as I understand, when the processes were activated within the coalition and so on, After David Granger gave up the leadership of the coalition, as he was rightly expected to do, and Aubrey Norton took over. Since then, I don't know that David Granger is giving anybody a difficult time based on instructions from the political grouping. Call live, good morning.
Morning, Kadaki, and do feel better. And morning, Guyana. A couple of, maybe 2 weeks ago, the former finance minister, Jordan, had said that Guyana had decommissioned the cents. So when he says cents, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's the sense that I've been talking about where Guyanese don't have sense and they're being sentenced. So it got decommissioned, and apparently the whole mines, especially of Afro-Guyanese sense, got decommissioned. Because what's happening there in the Public Service Credit Union, again, always behind the 8 ball. It's like no one is coming up with a strategy. If they do this, we do this. So same thing with the coalition or the PNC or AFC. Nothing is being done till after the fact, and then maybe weeks after or nothing. So it seems like, look how long the Natural Resources Fund, I think they had to wait maybe, was it a couple of weeks before they file anything. This Public Service Commission, nothing's being done. The Police Service Commission, again, a fraud and Jack the Hope is making all of these moves, and we're waiting for them to challenge both the court. I mean, always behind. So it seems we have lost our sense. We simply just don't get it. Well, how important it is. Think of the 23 years, 24, 25, these jokers have been able to corrupt the minds of the people. Schooling, what they have done to school, absolutely nothing. What they have done to the public service workers, nothing. But yet still, we just sit in our asses and pray that somebody is going to help us. I mean, how long we've been preaching for them to come together? As you said, 1,000 people out of the credit union with $1,000. I mean, hell, can nobody friggin' figure that shit out? It's just ridiculous. They have all of these educated people in Guyana, but yet still, they're just stupid. And that's my take.
Thank you, caller. It's now 8 hours 37. The lines remain open. You're tuned to the Buxtonian Morning Time. Voice note.
Good morning, Kadaki. Good morning, viewers and listeners. Kadaki, noticed the past couple of days that one of the media fronts in Guyana put out, I think just around the Queen, Her Majesty celebration, that Guyana and post up some picture with the fat guy and the ambassador, the British ambassador, that Guyana is the biggest trading partner to Britain from the Caribbean. What a load of baloney, what a load of lies they feed in the intellectual, lazy supporters with. You support, they're supporting these liars and these lies and these deception they're feeding these people with, and these people don't have an eye to see for themselves. What is it they're trading? What Guyana trading with Britain? I can't go into the supermarket or nowhere and find no products coming from Guyana. What they trading? You don't have an aircraft, you don't have airplanes going direct flight from Britain to Guyana. What is it they're trading? Tell the people what you're trading. Don't jump and tell people that, oh, Guyana is the biggest trading partner for Britain in the Caribbean. What a load of cobblers and lies. The only thing I could see the trading is a set of lies and deception. Is that what he came to Britain, the fat guy came to Britain to speak to Boris Johnson about? Lies and deception? But I tell you, every dog got his day. The lies going to catch up with them because catching up with Boris Johnson right now. At the end of the month, he's out of there. Because he lied to the public. And that's the thing, when you lie and you get caught lying, you have to go. The press keep on you. They keep nagging you, you have to go. So Boris Johnson is gone by the end of this month. Get caught with a no confident motion ball down on the boundary. Caught, red-handed. See, gone. And that's the only thing they trade in, probably. Lies and deception. But PPP time coming too. They're gonna go to take my words. Time, people, give it time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for this voice note. I think this voice note has it a little twisted. Because yes, Ghana can be one of the biggest trading partners of the UK. People assume that trade has to be two-way. Well, we didn't say barter, you know. We said trade. Understand that? We say barter. Trade is not necessarily, well, it's a two-way thing, but it doesn't always equate to equal trading. So Ghana can be the biggest importer of stuff from the UK, but the smallest exporter. So yes, the statement might be accurate. It depends on where you look at it from. I don't know. I haven't paid any attention. But when you look at the Caribbean region, or if you want to stick with Ghana, we are known for importing from rope to soap. But we hardly export anything. So we are big trading partners with many from Europe and Central America and so on. But there's no, quote unquote, is what is called balance of trade. There's no equality. Right? There's no equality. Look at the amount of food, for example, that is imported from the US on an annual basis. We don't export anything close to that to the US in any commodity or other. So we have to understand that. So that's that. You might be a good friend to your neighbor, or you consider yourself a good friend to your neighbor. Your neighbor may not be considering themselves a good friend to you. What about the gold, diamond, and lumber and oil? Philbert Taylor asked the question. What about them? They exported. But volume and value wise, how do they compare to what is imported? We export lumber in its raw form, and we import that same lumber in its finished form. So we will export it for $10, let's say a BM, and we will import it for $110 a BM. That's just an example, Philip Taylor. Carly, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Mr. Amsterdam. Good morning. Quickly, man, listen, if we to sit down and we to look at the situation there in Guyana pertaining to the opposition, we still to see one effective move from since 2020 made by the coalition. But right now, there's an additional problem on the on the coalition. I don't think that they have an AFC on board. You know, so there's a new development soon they're going to hit the surface. You know, so if we to look at the situation, there is nothing the opposition make where they call inroads as an opposition. So people will have to understand this. So some people won't want to accept or might not want to hear. The opposition got nowhere to go. They have nowhere to go. They are not winning the next election. Coming August, gonna bring the second anniversary for the PDP in office. I can't see the opposition logically within 3 years with all the issues at hand that never been handled yet. Make inroad within 3 years. I'm not looking for no magic bullet for what you call it, petition, and even if such be the case, they win the petition. I would like to see how they're going to go about it, because I know if the petition being won or in their favor, they're going back to the polls. Nobody is getting replaced. They're going back to the polls. I didn't see the opposition got any chance there, because they did nothing. Mr. Norton went into my area where I'm from. He visited there. Whilst visit there, he streamlined it. People saw it live. A few days after, he called a press conference at his party headquarters, and he bring back the same story that he streamlined. I'm trying to make sense out of this nonsense, out of this type of move, that they're enlightening people. You know, people already been enlightened. When you come out keeping your conference, what more is there to achieve that's going to be better than the streamline, or effective more than the streamline that you had live a couple of days ago at the same place? So these people like turkey without head. They don't know where they are. You know, they're just putting up a show. You know, so Guyana, the Guyanese best prop themselves. There's a long road ahead. The opposition got nowhere to go. You know, they have nowhere to go. Look, I'm trying to convince my young daughter, pay attention with the political situation and stuff like that. You know, she told me there, when the opposition was in government, there was some kind of rice industry place there that they were running, and they're looking for employing people, and she went there for employment. She had everything that would call for to be employed, but the question in the interview, where's your dad? Her reply is not in the country. Oh, well, we can't hire you because soon you're going to be ready to leave the country. She's sitting there for years. She's still ready to come across it, but she's sitting there for years, unemployed. Last week, Thursday, the PPP went into my village. They put down a tent next to the Corinthine River, and they call out the people then for job fair. And you know what? My daughter is in that line with this 40 grand a month, 10 days a month, 4 hours a day. She's in it. And guess what? Right into her scheme, there, she's gonna be working. And she's choosing her days. Now you tell me what influence they're not gone into that young woman head. Do you think the AFC could get any sort of inroad tomorrow morning if they decide to come out to start to get on the ground, to convince her that, well, listen to me, listen to us, we have your future at hands? You know, so Just look at all of these things and add them up and see where we're heading, see where the opposition is headed. So that's my take, Kadiki. Thank you, man. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. (622) 5933 is the number to call. The lines remain open. You're tuned to the Buxtonian Morning Time. I'm your host, Kidaki Amsterdam. Remember to come down to Kidam's Hideout from 6 in the evening to midnight. That's where you get the entertainment and you get your cutters and you get your, the thing. Call A Live, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, caller.
Yeah, that caller there, that's his opinion, right? The guy, he is relying heavily on probably the people is his party. That's his opinion, right? All these things he talking about the AFC and the I want to know if you have any evidence of the AFC is gonna walk away from the party, from the coalition. So as far as I'm concerned, that's just an ex-soup drinker. That's my contribution to him.
Caller.
An ex-soup drinker.
Caller.
Yeah.
You're an AFC member?
No, I'm not.
So why are you defending the AFC so strong?
I'm not defending them, but he needs to get some evidence that they're going to walk away from the party, or they are walking away from the party.
Is the man entitled to his opinion?
Huh?
Is he entitled to his opinion?
Of course.
All right,
course.
Then. Have a good
Of course, but what he's saying there, that he's so certain, that's it.
Have a good day, sir.
Yeah.
Call A Live, good morning.
Good morning.
You're live. Call A Live, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Amsterdam.
Hello.
That caller that called pertaining to his daughter and whoever with this job, and Apnud was not giving him job to the people when they were there and all of that. That person apparently they're not living in Guyana. Because let me tell you something, Apnud was so slack. They went ahead and given all the PPP trolls job, and even when you, as an APNU member or word supporter, they haven't even have time with you. So he talking shit, and even if the PPP is giving out jobs and paying $5,000, they are way below the line for how much the wages, and they will not, and that is not profitable for no young person to go and take no job for no $40,000 a month because they can't do nothing. So he needs to wake up and smell the coffee. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, everything is not evidence-based. We argue that everything perhaps should be evidence-based, but you look at precedent. Is the behavior of the AFC suggesting that it's likely that they will walk away? Did I mention in the beginning of this program that it came out of the mouth of Ramjatan that the AFC's Congress or caucus, whatever they have coming up, will be considering that as an option? I think I did. It's in the news, it's in the air. And so I don't know why you all believe that, All things are possible. Once it's on the table for consideration, it's possible that it can happen. Somebody is saying that story about the man's daughter being told that he can't hire her because she will leave shortly. It's not plausible. Yes, it is plausible. I've had experiences like those. Good. In short, what I'm hearing, she is qualified for the job and all of that. Perhaps. But that doesn't mean that they wanted to employ her. So, where your father overseas? How did that question come up? Was prior research done to find out who is this person coming for this job? And they found out, well, XYZ. Right? And so that was a Trump question to say, well, we can't hire you. But apart from that, employers, especially when you're going to be employed in certain quote-unquote strategic positions, look at that long-term connection. And if you're not likely to stay with them long-term, then they don't hire you, qualified or otherwise.
Good morning.
So hold your line, please. So the possibility is, yes, she went through the interview process. When it came to that aspect, they said, well, there's no point in us hiring you, because if your father and your family, perhaps the entire family, is overseas, the possibility is you could follow him soon. And so we would have wasted our time hiring you, given the fact that you might cut and run shortly, especially what is happening in this country. Call A Live, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Brother Kadaki. Good morning to Guyanese and everyone in there. First of all, that person basically who called something like that, the guy with his daughter getting a little bit of money, whatever. That's a PPP mode. You could hear it in his voice and the argument he's making, right? Definitely somebody who's collected a little bit of breadcrumbs or whatever as one of the PPP. Anyhow, my main reason this morning is something that has been traded on for a while. And you came up with something in that regard this morning when you mentioned about the situation with the coalition, the present situation with the coalition. You mentioned the term socio-political. But I think, to my point of view, that term does not describe the coalition, meaning the APNU and AFC, APNU, AFC, and the PNC. Because, first of all, these people, a coalition is a team, right? And for a while now, they haven't been behaving like a team. It seems like they're not meeting. Some sort of consultation with each other and start planning the next move, because you can't go into the election and if you don't coming out with all these things, people coming out with these votes and you can't go into the election against them. The election needs to be a team. You need to start consulting each other, you need to with each other and come up with ideas. Each other's ideas and that's how we get to the members and the supporters the encouragement or the impression that they are together, and that's what they need to do. They need to do it because when it comes election time, when people need to go to the poll, people need to know who they're going to the poll for. And if they look up at the leaders and they see the leaders, meaning the political parties are all over the place, they will become undecisive. Maybe they will not even vote, or maybe they will vote for another party and all these kind of things. So with this, I'm not saying these things are going to happen, but we need to put ourselves together. The coalition, the APNU, AFC, they need to put themselves together and they need to start meeting, right? And I think Kadaki, as a strategist, I think you're a good person who could actually find some of these meetings and put these people together and let's strategize around with some of the ideas that you have and others have on your calling on your program. So please reach out to these people and let's get some dialogue. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Call A Live, good morning. Final call for the morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kadaki. Good morning. Me calling to share my view. You understand? In Guyana, what have to happen in Guyana? The PNC have to stop fooling themselves in Guyana. For Guyana become a country that everybody have seen, the region level have to strengthen. The NDC levels have to strengthen. Why I saying this, right? The PNC alone cannot be the PP in no general election. The PNC will always run Region 4, Region 10, and Region 7. If you strengthen the regions them, you will always have a proper say. But trying to say that you're going to be the PPP, the PNC alone cannot be the PP in no election, and everybody should have realized that in Guyana. That is the history of Guyana. The PNC cannot be the PP alone in Guyana, in no election. So if you have a strong region and local government arm in the country, everybody will have a say. Everybody will have a say. But fooling yourself and saying you're going to be the PP and you're going to this and you're going to that. And another thing have to happen in Guyana, the whole country supposed to know how much job belongs to a political party whenever you win election. And which job is a political job. Because too long the people of Guyana got to go through that this body get knocked out because of race and this body get knocked out, and everybody know fully well that so much job belongs, so much appointees belongs to a political party whenever you win election. You understand? Certain positions are political appointees. These are the things that have to go in Guyana Constitution to reform Guyana Constitution. So everybody gonna know if it's 500 job, if it's 1,000 job, people gonna lose, or 2,000 job, people gonna lose when a party win an election, and that is it. That is it. Strengthen the local government arm, and that is it. Everybody gonna have a say. You know what? I never heard a thing. Every time the PNC chairman and come from Region 4, Region 10, they never give you a direct figure how much money disposed to the regions there. Already in the government cut the budget. The government cut the budget. We want to hear how much money the government give you to spend on the region. And we want to hear your budget. What is the budget you send to the region? And what we want to hear change in Guyana, the REO must become for the person that's with the region. You must control your region so the people that vote for you are going to hold you accountable for everything. You don't have no bodies to run behind and blame. You never hear them budget. You never hear how much money the government sent to them. These are the things we want to hear in Guyana. How much money the government sent to you? How much money sent back to the government every year? The central government. We want to hear this fight. We don't want to suggestion and what you think anymore. Because it's just like the Mayor George. He claiming that he did not collect the 30 million, and the town clerk said yes, the money passed. These are the big stuff he doesn't want to hear. We want to hear factual things now. We want to hear facts. How much money is supposed to give to the city council, and all these things we want to hear how much money. We don't want to nobody that suggests.
Thank you, Colin.
Yes, that's what we want to hear, my brother. How much money give to everybody on your budget? Thank you.
Thank you. You know, I did say that was the final call for the day. It's now 3 minutes past 9 o'clock. Well, let me explain. The last caller has made some valid points. And the thing is, the system is in place. The system is in place to achieve all that caller says. But the question is whether or not we allow the system to work, or whether or not we demand that the system works. And that is where the problem is. You know, Guyana perhaps might have some of the most advanced legislation on the books compared to other CARICOM territories and so on. But the legislation on books don't change anything. Okay? Legislation don't change anything. These laws have to be living. Let me explain for you, for example. I grew up, since I'm in primary school, I know of, I hope I can get it in its right order, the local government system, right? The highest organ of the local government system, as far as I know, is what you call the NCLDO, National Congress of Local Democratic Organs. National Congress of Local Democratic Organs is supposed to be the highest local government, quote-unquote, institution, management level, right? It starts with well, back then it was village council, right? But then let's look at the local government system. It starts with the Neighborhood Democratic Council, which is the local government body that is closest to the people. And the people in the communities in the neighborhood are empowered to go to the meetings of the NDC and raise their concerns, whether by letter or perhaps under any other business of the agenda and so on at these meetings. So local government is brought closer to the people at that level, the Neighborhood Democratic Council. Now from the Neighborhood Democratic Council, the next level is the Regional Democratic Council, RDCs. So the NDCs are supposed to take their issues to the RDCs, have them ventilated there, and if they can't be dealt there, then they are taken further up the line. Good? Nowadays, I know when you leave the RDC, the thing ends up at the local government ministry to be pronounced upon by a minister. Right? And so for as long as you have that political interference there by the minister, then everything gets messed up, because the minister represents a political organization, represents what should I say, has their own agenda, political agenda for their party. And so Vincent Alexander has a good explanation, a good grip of this thing. For example, subventions, I think. Subventions from the Ministry of Local Government is supposed to be based on a particular formula. Not the minister just waking up and saying, I'm going to give you all $1 million. But these things are observed more in the breach. And you know why they continue to be observed in the breach? Nobody wants to challenge them in court. Right? Nobody wants to challenge them in court. Nobody is. And a lot of these things are not challenged in court. A lot of these things are not made to be changed because different sides of the political aisle sees benefit in them when their turn come around. Right? Seriously, have you ever heard any politician jailed in this country for corrupt behavior? Let's say over the last 30 years? No. At least I can't recall any. But we've had two different groups of people in government. But here it goes. Why if we jail the PPP, when the PPP comes to power, they're going to jail we? So we're going to get masquerades. We're going to use the knowledge that they are corrupt to embarrass them publicly. But we ain't jailing nobody because we they're going to come. Likewise, we are not changing the laws that allows one group of politicians to behave as they can lord it over Guyana when they're in power. Despite we could change the laws to take into consideration what I think the caller was saying, proportional government. WPA talks about power sharing. We can change the laws to accommodate power sharing. But everybody believes that their day will come to win an election and they don't want shared power. And so it's all or nothing, and we will leave it as all or nothing while the people suffer. Right? So, think on that. Have a good day. Join me tonight. Maybe I can have that discussion on the WPA's program tonight, Day Clean. It's 6:30 right here on KAMS TV. Have a great day, y'all. Be safe, be productive, be focused. Okay? And don't forget that $1 million to challenge what is happening at the GPSU is joke. And the failure to challenge what is happening at the GPSU is a slap in the face of the ordinary rank and file members of the GPSU, and more so the working class people of this country. And more so, it's a political failure. And so we must call it for what it is. Have a good day. Uga Kongati outside, you have to look for rain. That's a fact. If you know you're going to put your hand in the kitty jar, you got to